Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Now, for this fight in particular, I want people to really focus on what I'm going to say next. The opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Right? Danny Jacobs, simply put, is one of only two men at 160 pounds who have a credible chance, in my opinion, of beating Golovkin. Right? The only other guy other than Jacobs at 160 who I feel would have a credible chance of beating Golovkin would be Chris Eubank. Right? I personally feel that the way to beat Golovkin, the blueprint, is laid out in his fight against Kassim Ouma. Right? You need a guy who can get low and get inside. Right? One of the reasons why the guy has to get low or off at the side while he's doing an inside attack on Golovkin is because Golovkin has an excellent jab. So if you come in on Golovkin and you're just front foot heavy and you have the idea that, hey, I hit hard, I have a big punch, let me just go toe-to-toe with him. If you try, we'll call it the David Lemieux strategy. As you're trying to come in the pocket, Golovkin's going to batter you with a jab. Right? And of course, while he's battering you with the jab, he's then going to lower his shoulder and he's going to start digging left hooks to your body. He's going to start hitting you with wicked body shots. Then as you back away, right, because you're under fire, you're looking for the safe zone in the ring. As you back away, you're actually backing into Golovkin's real hot zone, because Golovkin's a guy who likes to extend his arms. Right? So, Golovkin would rather you be away than up close. I believe he's developed that jab to get people to back away into where he really wants them. Then he's throwing power shots from distance. That's when he starts catching guys, right, who are outside, surprised by the fact that Golovkin is able to deliver power long range. Now enter Danny Jacobs. He's 6 feet tall. It's a bit of an optical illusion because Danny Jacobs can fight inside. Better yet, Danny Jacobs, when he comes inside, can actually bend his body, can actually move side to side. He's not gonna be there to get hit with Golovkin's jab. Worse yet, Danny Jacobs throws one of the best short left hooks to the body. There's going to be a question in this fight on which big hitter. Both guys have KO percentages over 80%. The question is, which big hitter is going to land the bigger, harder, more debilitating body shots up close? Right? That's going to be the million-dollar question here. Now, I know people like Curtis Stevens, right, who is from Brooklyn, right, knows Danny Jacobs, claims that Danny doesn't have the chin to stand up to Golovkin. Right? Stevens, of course, has been in the ring with Golovkin. We know from Danny Jacobs' history he was knocked out by Dmitry Pirog. Right? A fight I made a video on here years ago in which I picked Pirog. Right? Might have been, for the boxing hardcore, my best pick ever quite frankly. Right? People need to understand, though, and I want the boxing hardcore to look hard at Pirog. In my opinion, Pirog was one of the best fighters of the last 20 years. Right? Pirog had a lot of James DeGale in him. Before his back goes out and he starts, hanging too close to the pocket, engaging in shootouts. Pirog was a guy who moved around the ring and you couldn't tell if he was righty or lefty. Right? He threw power punches with both hands. I would argue Pirog really shouldn't be classified as an orthodox fighter or a southpaw fighter. Right? Just like I feel James DeGale being called a southpaw is a little bit deceiving. Right? Pirog had a unique set of skills. I believe Golovkin is more predictable. While Golovkin has power in both hands, he doesn't have the ability to throw with both hands unexpectedly from long range, from different stances, like a Pirog, or dare I say, today, like a James DeGale. Right? So here's what I expect. I expect Danny Jacobs to come inside. I know it's counterintuitive, right? But I expect Danny Jacobs to come inside on Golovkin. This fight's going to be far more interesting than Kell Brook trying to stay outside and beat Golovkin with movement while getting his eye socket busted early and then trying to survive the rest of the fight. Right? No, this is going to be different. This is going to be a guy coming inside on Golovkin with the intention of knocking him out, like Jacobs knocked out a much bigger, also hard-hitting Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillin. Right? So when Jacobs comes inside, I believe Golovkin's going to have to revert to his plan B. Right? Plan A would be Jacobs stays outside. Golovkin measures him. Then starts unloading power from distance. Right? I believe Golovkin's plan B is, okay, guy's up on me. How do I get him off of me enough where I can then start winging shots to his rib cage and his solar plexus? Right? I'm expecting someone to get knocked out in this fight. Right? Understand, Jacobs on the inside has a bevy of weapons. Folks, he throws one of boxing's best uppercuts. And it's fast and it's short. It's the kind of uppercut he can deliver inside. Right? Chris Eubank throws another great uppercut inside. That's one of the reasons why I think Eubanks is a live opponent against Golovkin. Well, Jacobs has the uppercut too. And I would argue Jacobs has the faster hands by a wide margin. Right? Jacobs is really a power puncher. Right? Boxer, puncher. I think people look at his torso and they don't understand this guy is really a power puncher. Look at the KO percentage. So I think these two guys are going to shorten the ring. I think they're going to be throwing hard shots. I think somebody gets knocked out. It's really a matter of who lands first. Right? Jacobs' head really shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm more concerned about his body, because I don't believe Golovkin is going to be able to find Jacobs' head. So, because I believe someone's going to get knocked out, the way I'd structure this bet right? And it's against the public, right? I believe the odds are going to have Golovkin heavily favored. The way I would structure this bet would be for you to take the underdog Jacobs to win the fight, hedged with Golovkin by KO. Right? Why that? Simply because you're getting much better than even money odds with Danny Jacobs. You might as well get him by decision. Right? Understand, Danny Jacobs in his life, in a professional fight, has never lost a decision. Right? We're here trying to get leverage on the casino. Why Golovkin by KO? Because somebody's going to get knocked out, in my opinion. And Golovkin by KO is better in terms of the odds, your payout, than Golovkin simply to win the fight. Right? The bet's doable because, let's say Golovkin, and I haven't seen odds on this fight yet, right? This morning, I'm aware of this morning, it was reported that the two guys wouldn't be able to fight in December. So now they're trying to fight in January, right? The fight hasn't been made, the odds haven't been posted. But I'm expecting Golovkin to be at least a 4-1 favorite. Why? Because he's highly regarded by the public. Because the public thinks so highly of him that Kell Brook's corner throws in the towel in the first half of that fight, and people are congratulating Kell Brook. Right? So I'm expecting Golovkin to be a 4-1 favorite. So let's say I'm getting 4-1 on Danny Jacobs. Right? That means if I'm getting anything better than 1-4 on Golovkin by KO, this bet's doable. I can structure the bet so I make a profit if either happens. Let me close by saying this. I know boxing has many highly regarded fighters. Right? Saul Alvarez, very highly regarded. Right? Billy Joe Saunders, very highly regarded. I'd take Danny Jacobs over both of those guys. Right? Both of those guys. Let me say this too. Styles make fights. I know Saunders beat Chris Eubank. Research my pick on that fight. I picked Saunders over Chris Eubank. But styles make fights. Right? I don't believe you can beat Golovkin backing away from him. I just don't. That's what I believe Saunders would do. I don't believe you beat Golovkin in a low volume fight where no one pushes the issue. Like the beginning of Saunders against Andy Lee. Right? If you're there and you're looking at Golovkin and you're waiting for an opportunity and you're a counter type guy, not a lead puncher, right? And it's a low scoring fight. Well, guess what? Because your punches aren't as hard as the big puncher's punches, right? Because Golovkin likes a fight that's slow, so he can set up his big punches, right? I don't believe you're going to win that fight. Let me say this too. Let's talk about guys at 154, right? I think the world of Andre. Right? I don't believe Andre would have a shot against Golovkin. Because Andre, as good as he is as a mover, would be trying to beat Golovkin going back. Right? On his back foot. I don't believe that works against Golovkin. Right? Erislandy Lara. Back foot. I don't think that works against Golovkin. Fighters who are on their front foot but who are reckless. James Kirkland. Right? Alfredo Angulo. I don't think that works against Golovkin. But Danny Jacobs, A guy who's thinking the entire fight, who comes inside but isn't there to be hit, who knows how to hide the top part of his frame, who's throwing hard punches, but who's moving when he does it, right? Who has a great uppercut to open up a guy when he's inside, who intuitively knows how to have a hand up as he's inside so he's defending himself, right? That guy is going to have a chance against Golovkin, right? I don't think the result of this fight is the foregone conclusion that I thought the result of the Kell Brook fight was going to be. This is actually a competitive match. Jacobs is undervalued. The bet I like is Jacobs to win, hedged with Golovkin by KO, right? The bullets being shot back at Golovkin in this fight are going to be live bullets, right? Lemieux has heavy artillery. He didn't have the defensive skills to deal with Golovkin. He didn't have the movement to deal with Golovkin. Danny Jacobs does. This fight, in a sentence, is better than advertised. The values with the underdog, I'm going to hedge to play with the favorite by KO. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Let me say too, right? I know people are talking about Jacobs' chin. Curtis Stevens has made some comments about it, right? The idea is who gets dropped by Sergio Mora, right? I don't think Golovkin's going to be able to find Jacobs' chin until Jacobs has landed several hard shots on Golovkin's body. In my opinion, it's much more likely that the winner of this fight scores the knockdown by a body shot. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Thanks for stopping by.